Hi everyone, it's Cindy Yu here from Outside the Locker Room. Thanks for joining us on another episode of the Expert League, where we interview different experts from different industries each week for advice. Today I have Rae Kruger joining me today from Melbourne. Hi Rae, thank you for joining us. How are you?
Hi. Good, thank you.
That's good. Rae specialises in relationship and grief and loss counselling. So she's worked with clients of all ages, including preteens, teenagers, and adults, focusing on the individual, couples, and families. So, Rae, thanks again for joining us and sharing your knowledge and experience with us. Firstly, can you share with us a bit more about your background and your experience?
Sure. So I've been working as a counsellor for 5+ years. I started out as a general counsellor in regional South Australia. So got a bit of experience there working in different roles. So I worked as a school counsellor and then obviously as a relationship and family counsellor as well, but also doing a lot of general counselling. So where we focus on anything from anxiety, depression, stress management, anger management, all the way through to suicide intervention, which has been the main focus of my work lately. So yeah, and then I moved to Melbourne and started my own practice as well. So, and that's more focused on family and relationship counselling. So yeah, there's been a few roles there.
Yeah, great. It sounds like you've got quite a diverse range and you don't necessarily just focus on one type of challenge, you focus on multiple types and you've worked with
Yeah.
different families and different individuals over time.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah.
It helps with the diversity really helps. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And you say you do focus on, couples and families a lot. So how do they find that counselling beneficial and when is a good time for them to seek support?
So for couples and families, what I think they find beneficial from counselling is having that third person there who's not emotionally involved, who can validate each individual's experience, but then also provide a bit of a different perspective to go, I hear what you're saying. This is what I'm hearing. This is maybe what you're feeling. And this is what the other person is saying. So where can we find the middle ground? A lot of what we focus on in relationship counselling with couples, for example, is communication skills, so that after a while I'm not needed, because that would be ideal, and so that they can learn to resolve conflict by themselves, and especially those deep and difficult conversations where values are involved, because that's usually why we argue with our spouse and our family, because if we prioritize values differently, and our meaning for values can be so different even though we name it the same thing. So when those are in conflict with each other, and when I think is a great time to seek professional support is when you're having a recurring argument, whether it's with your spouse or with your children or whoever. When that recurring argument is occurring and you can't find a resolution for it, and you kind of always end up in the same thing, whether it's one of you stomping off and it's just the problem is just kind of swept under the mat. I think that's a great time. It's never too early because sometimes it's deeper issues that come to the surface anyway of why we can be quite reactive.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's as simple as changing the language that we use when we communicate. So they're never too early. So yeah.
Yeah, communication is key and it's very easy to miscommunicate. And so what I'm hearing is that a preventative approach is actually really a really great way to use counselling as well.
Yeah, exactly right. And it doesn't have to be at a place where you're constantly arguing or even getting to a point where you're hating each other before you reach out for support. Like you said, preventative approach is better, so reach out before it gets to that.
Yeah, nipping it in the bud early.
That's right.
And so some people may have heard about or have experienced this concept called cabin fever. Can you share with the audience what that is and how to overcome some of those feelings that they're experiencing?
Yeah, so I guess in short, to summarize it, it's that intense feeling of isolation. And what that sometimes looks like is so sorry, is that restlessness, sadness, depression, mood swings, change in appetite, not wanting to go do anything, so that decreased motivation, frequent napping, so because you don't have to do anything, you don't have to be anywhere, so losing all concept of time really, and then also the inability to cope with stress. I think that is a big one where our resilience becomes quite low. Yeah,
Mm.
and how people can cope with that, it sounds simple, but it does take a lot of effort. And the first one is to boost your immune system. So what that looks like is eating healthy, eating regularly at the times where you normally eat, staying hydrated, because it can be quite tempting to sit in front of the TV and watch Netflix and binge on junk food all day long.
Yeah.
And then also so to avoid doing that, keep in your routine of how you would normally eat
Mm.
and drink. And I think also because sometimes we've associated being at home with relaxing, and now a lot of us are working from home, we
Mm.
kind of mix the two. So um, to keep a routine as much as possible, and for a lot of people that routine also includes exercise.
Mm.
And we're lucky enough that we're allowed to go outside and exercise, and that vitamin D is really important for your immune system and stress relief, and that kind of thing. So boosting your immune system by doing all of those things it's really important. And like I said, routine is extremely important. So structure your day, know when you're doing what, so you're not just floating.
Mm.
So you still have a sense of purpose and you still have a sense of achievement at the end of the day. I know some people will doing it in a way where they go, oh, I'll stay up and do whatever I want during the day because the sun's out, and then they work till 2 or 3 in the morning. And so that throws it out as well. Some people it works, some people it doesn't, but structure your day as you would normally do it. And also social contact, I think, also because we're in front of a screen a lot, so then socializing over a screen can be quite difficult for people. I know I have found that really hard, but
Same.
also social connections. Sorry, what was that?
Oh, I said same.
Yeah, it is hard, and
Yeah.
because you want that interaction, and instead of just holding your phone and talking to someone that way. But social connection, even if it's over the phone or through a screen, also boosts your immune system. So it
Mm.
is social contact, maintaining that and prioritizing it
Mm.
is extremely important, even though we don't feel like it. And I think also lastly, like acknowledging that it is difficult,
Yeah.
but also to remind yourself that this is temporary. We don't know how long it's going to go for, but we know it's not going to be forever. So going about your day and adapting to that change builds that resilience as well, but also reminding yourself that it is temporary and we're going to get through this. We're all in the same boat, and definitely acknowledging those feelings that we're struggling sometimes is really, really important.
Yeah, great. Some really important points you brought up there, some really strong messages. Creating that structure and routine is really important for that sense of achievement. That sense of achievement can then, boost your motivation for the next day as well. So really creating that positive cycle, as well as looking after your body, hydration, sleep, nutrition, vitamin D, getting out and exercising in the sun. All of those things are really, really important, all play a role in our mental well-being. So thanks for sharing all of that. And we are going into a bit of a transition at the moment. We're starting to go back to work and school and doing some more face-to-face social activities now. So what do you think individuals might be experiencing at this time?
I think for different people, it will be different things. So I think there'll be a lot of mixed emotions.
Yeah.
Some people might have quite a lot of anxiety
Mm.
going back into socializing with people and being around people. For some people who have, I guess, social anxiety in general, um, that might have been quite a nice time for them to be at home and they're in their comfort zone. So
Mm.
for them, it might have been a welcoming change, but now going out, that might raise quite a bit of anxiety for them. Some people might experience relief.
Mm.
Okay, they're letting us out, so we can go drinking, we can go hiking. And I know this one is a big one for myself. For example, like, I like going out, I like nature, and that's where I reset. So that's on that in that regard, it's a bit of a relief for me, because I
Mm.
wasn't allowed to go on my hikes in the Dandenong.
Yeah,
But
beautiful.
I also think, yeah, and so not being able to engage with your normal coping strategies, and then now being able to do it, even though it's freezing, you can now go do it. But I think also that feeling of uncertainty, how
Mm.
long is this going to go for? And maybe some people might still be scared. But
Mm.
I think moving forward, it's finding that new normal. A
Mm.
lot of people want to go back to how things were, but also maybe evaluating, was that the best thing for us, or was it the best thing for you? Because I know a lot of people have said they're really busy and they don't want to be that busy anymore. Um,
Mm.
I know my social calendar is very, very quiet, and I like it. So that's my own experience in that. But
Yeah.
I think whatever works for people, because everyone's different.
Mm.
So if there's something that came out of being in lockdown that worked for you, that you want to keep, incorporate it. You don't have to go back. You
Mm.
go forward. So you go forward to a new normal and find that new normal for you, for what's going to work for you. Do you want to be as busy as you were before? So I think we'll see a lot of changes happening, and um, listen to your body, because we've all sat back, didn't have to be so busy. So jumping straight back into that busyness might be quite stressful, and we all still have that lingering stress that will go on for a while, and that ongoing uncertainty. So listen to your body. If you need rest, rest, because we are still stressed, and that
Mm.
stays in the body as well. So that's kind of a vague answer, because there's so many possibilities to what can happen. But I think everyone can do what works for
Mm.
them, provided that it's a healthy, and I don't like the word balance, but finding that equilibrium of what works for them.
Yeah, great
Yeah.
word. I'm just taking in all of your advice. I feel like you're speaking directly to me in terms of that, finding that new normal. As someone that I was really, really social, I had a very busy calendar, and I did have to make really big adjustments to go into these restrictions. And now I'm finding,
Yeah.
oh wow, like I don't know how I can get back to that busyness. And it is about listening to your body and taking it one step at a time. And it might be a new normal. It might be that I never get back to that type of busyness. It might be that I find
Yeah.
a different routine. So thank you for that advice. It's really, really important, a really important message that you're sharing there. So do you have
No worries.
final advice for those who are going through those challenges? I know you've given a few throughout already.
I think if you're struggling, and even with everything that you're reading on the internet, and that can also be quite overwhelming, because a lot of articles cater for so many people in so many different situations, and it can be quite difficult to pick what's applicable to you. So if you need help sorting through that, or going, this is everything that's on my plate, how am I going to do this, how am I going to sort through this, what do I need to do first,
Mm.
reach out for help, even if it's
Yeah.
one session with a professional, or reach out to your friends, or someone that is always a word of reason for you. I think that's right phrase.
Yeah.
But yeah, so reach out to someone. And I think and I know certainly from my personal experience, is that a lot of people go, oh, but we're all going through the same thing, so I
Mm.
don't want to burden someone else. And yes, we are all going through the same thing, and that's why we should talk about it. It helps with that validation, makes us feel less alone. So again, coming back to that social contact. But if you don't have any of that, please reach out for support with professionals, and that can help you sort through all of that, and maybe just straighten things a little bit and give some guidance
Yeah.
about what to do next. Hmm.
Really important. And I know that a lot of people that are listening would have gotten a lot out of what you've, told us today. I know I've gotten a lot out of this conversation. And so if people do want that further guidance from you and with you and engage in your services, how can they get in contact with you?
So you can contact me on Facebook, which is Rae Kruger Counselling and Training. That's also the name of my website, or www.rkct.com.au. You can also email me at rkc or Rae Kruger at rkct.com.au. It will all be in the description, or you can call me on, and that will pop the number in there as well.
Sounds great. Well, thank you so much for all of your amazing tips and advice today, Rae. I really have enjoyed this conversation, and I'm hoping to see us all out there face to face and doing our education sessions very soon. But right now it is a transition phase, so being kind to ourselves and listening to our bodies are really important. So thank you so much for sharing all of your advice today, and have a great day.
Thank you. You too, Cindy.
Thanks, Rae.